Action News Now student-led fentanyl awareness special, presented by Healthy Rural California and Butte County Behavioral Health Prevention Unit.
The fentanyl crisis is sweeping the nation and touching the lives of so many families here in our area. A lot of times people don't even know they're taking it. Action News Now partnered with a group of Butte County students, law enforcement, and health providers to show the impact of the epidemic from a teen's perspective. They put together their own newscast to shed light on the problem and show us some potential solutions.
And now, Fentanyl Awareness Special, presented by Healthy Rural California and Butte County Behavioral Health Prevention Unit.
Fentanyl is impacting lives all across our area. We show you just how dangerous the drug can be. Plus,
he decided to have fun with friends and rolled up a joint and had no idea it was laced with fentanyl.
How the powerful drug can have long-lasting effects on your family. And how drug task force agents are working to keep fentanyl off the streets. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kylie Crawford.
And I'm Monica Mugia. More fentanyl is making its way into our community.
Reporters William Feen and Vivi Gomez show us what drug agents are doing to crack down on the problem.
The fentanyl crisis is a nationwide issue, and the Butte Interagency Narcotics Task Force says that our county is no exception to this crisis.
So that amount on that pencil lead is 2 milligrams. That is enough to kill the average American.
BNTF Commander Mike O'Brien says fentanyl may be disguised as prescription medications or even candy. He says on average 70,000 people die from fentanyl overdoses across the nation each year. But BNTF is on a mission to stop that.
Because we're in that world, we see it all the time. So we get information, people will call us, or we may arrest someone and they provide us information that someone else is dealing. And so we take that information and we do an investigation.
O'Brien says investigations can take weeks, but if enough evidence is gathered, BNTF will go to the district attorney's office to present the evidence for a warrant.
If there is, they give that back to us and then we can go and serve that at a house, meaning we can come knock on a door and sometimes kick in a door if we think there's some dangerous individuals there, and then go and search that residence.
If fentanyl is found, BNTF arrests the individuals involved and then takes the substances out of the community and confirms the substance is fentanyl.
So we will test them. We have a special device where we don't need to touch the fentanyl. We can actually take and shoot a laser into this substance and determine whether it's fentanyl or not. And once we have done our testing, we will seal it in packaging like this, and then we send that off to a lab for confirmations.
O'Brien says it's important for people to be aware of the dangers and report any information to BNTF about illegal drug use.
When you have 70,000+ people across the country die from fentanyl, to include people in Butte County, hundreds, we need to pay attention to that, and we need to be responsible. We need to understand how dangerous this is and get the word out this stuff is killing people and killing people in our community.
Yeah. If you know someone who may be involved in fentanyl dealing, BNTF has a tip line right here. My name is Vivi Gomez.
And I'm William Feen.
O'Brien says Butte County did not have any fentanyl-related deaths in 2018 and only 3 in 2019.
Even if you take fentanyl and survive, it can have serious health harms. A breakdown of the risks when we come back.
Presented by Healthy Rural California and Butte County Behavioral Health Prevention Unit.
Taking fentanyl even one time can be enough to kill you.
I spoke with a local emergency room doctor to learn just how dangerous this drug can be. A physician at Enloe Medical Center, James Moore, sees the impact of fentanyl every day.
Current overdose rate is somewhere around 40 people per 100,000, which is unfortunately going up quickly. And that's compared to about 20 for the rest of California. So Butte County is especially at risk.
Moore tells us that the drug was originally used for patients as an alternate option for painkillers such as oxycodone and hydrocodone, but now it is being misused and has become a health hazard.
So for one thing, it stimulates your sort of pleasure center of the brain, so it feels good, at least the first few times. But it also stimulates receptors that control how you breathe, right? So that's the downs. That's why you stop breathing. It depresses your respirations.
Moore tells me that the majority of his patients who are addicted come into the hospital already near death or withdrawing. Withdrawal happens when patients attempt to quit but have symptoms such as vomiting, difficulty breathing, shakiness, and chills. But he tells us recovery is possible, and there are some tools that can help.
So in particular, there's a medication called buprenorphine, which acts very similar to a narcotic, very similar to fentanyl if you take it, and it goes and plugs up those addiction holes that we talked about. However, it doesn't hit those other ones, right? It doesn't hit the pleasure center, so it doesn't give you that emotional and psychological addiction, but it also doesn't cause you to stop breathing and die.
Moore also tells me that fentanyl is so rampant because drug dealers lace other less addicting drugs like marijuana with it. He also says mental health is a major factor in people relying on the drug. But if they seek help, patients can start their journey to recovery. At Enloe Medical Center, they have a substance use navigator program to help patients who need that support. So, what should you do if someone you know takes fentanyl, either on purpose or by accident?
Reporter Christopher Tamai and I spoke to an expert about life-saving steps to take when someone overdoses.
There are multiple ways to treat an opioid overdose. One way is by using naloxone, a tool that can help reverse the effects of an overdose. Naloxone, also known as Narcan, is a life-saving medication. It is used when people are overdosing from fentanyl, heroin, and other opioids.
But naloxone will only work on opioid-related overdoses. But if you think somebody is having an overdose, depending on what type of signs or symptoms they have, still administer naloxone because it could help.
There are multiple ways to recognize if someone is overdosing on opioids. Disease intervention specialist from Butte County Public Health, Anna Zepeda-Nunez, shares more.
The main signs or symptoms is maybe the person might be unresponsive, they might be on the floor, they might be like their body might be super limp, their lips might be turning blue or maybe their fingertips. Depending on their skin tone, it might be blue, purple, or more like gray ashen. Their breathing might have stopped completely, or maybe they're breathing super like slow. They're probably unconscious as well.
Naloxone works very instantly with very few side effects. But how exactly does it work?
So what you do is that you put it all the way in their nose. I'm not going to put it in my nose right now, but you're going to want to press up. Because the person isn't breathing, you want to make sure that you put it all the way up where your fingers touch their nose.
Naloxone only stays in the body for about 60 to 90 minutes, which is why Zepeda-Nunez says it's important to still call 911 just in case the person goes back into an overdose state.
But what we want to do is bring, resources, actual help, whether that's parents, people becoming trained on how to use naloxone and knowing where to get naloxone, but also doing, trainings about overdose prevention, harm reduction.
There are different locations here in the county to purchase naloxone for free, but it is also available to purchase over the counter.
Narcan will not help with an alcohol overdose.
A look at just how much trouble selling fentanyl can get you into. Coming.
Presented by Healthy Rural California and Butte County Behavioral Health Prevention Unit.
Whether you're planning to use fentanyl or sell it, getting caught with the drug can get you in trouble.
Reporter Hannah Howard spoke with the Butte County District Attorney about some of the legal consequences.
Fentanyl is just a dangerous drug. It's 50 times more powerful than heroin is.
The increase of fentanyl overdose cases has spiked worldwide, and it's also hitting us here at home.
The startling increase of how fentanyl has invaded our community and is causing huge amounts of overdoses and damage to our folks.
The scariest part is that a very small amount can be fatal.
If you took a salt shaker and you shook out 7 grains of salt, if that was fentanyl, that would kill you.
Even people who think they're using other drugs could be affected since fentanyl is being laced into different forms.
Yeah, also is people are using it in other drugs, not knowingly, but the drug dealers are putting that in other, cocaine, putting in methamphetamine, sprinkling it in the marijuana.
Authorities in Butte County are worried about the rapid increase in overdose deaths in the area.
These are the concerns that law enforcement and everyone in Butte County has, because when it broke onto the scene, we had, back in 2019, we had some 3 deaths, overdose deaths, from what we saw from the doctors and the autopsies as fentanyl deaths. 2022, the last full year that we have the data for, there was something like 65 deaths here in Butte County.
So, if I were at a party and I was drinking underage, or if there's just multiple people drinking underage, and my friend was smoking weed or doing some type of substance that had fentanyl in it, and she started to overdose. And we didn't have any Narcans or anything like that, and I was forced to call the police, would I be in trouble for that?
California law prevents anyone from being prosecuted, arrested or prosecuted, for calling in about their friend. So if that friend or yourself has drugs on them, there's an immunity for that possession of drugs. What we want is people to call. And so you would not be prosecuted for having drugs or your friend having the drugs.
Have there been any affected children by fentanyl?
We had a case here last year in which parents had fallen asleep. Mother's fentanyl was on the bed, and a 2-year-old came in and grabbed up the mother's fentanyl container and, like children do, kind of started sucking on it, because fentanyl, and sometimes they're sold in the form of colored powder.
When asked what the county is currently doing, DA Mike Ramsey said,
And we put out the word that we say to any drug dealer in Butte County that we catch, we bring into court, and we give them on their criminal complaint a warning. That is right here is our fentanyl warning, and that it's extremely dangerous and deadly to provide drugs in any form, including real or counterfeit pills, and engaging in that conduct is highly dangerous to human life. And the drug stream, the illicit drug stream in Butte County is fully infected with fentanyl. So you, as a drug dealer, are now on the watch. You have been warned. That's what's happening. So if you give drugs to someone, and that someone dies because there's fentanyl in those drugs, you can't say, oh, I didn't know there was fentanyl in those drugs. We've told you. There's fentanyl in all of the drugs.
There's multiple warnings about it.
Yep.
In July, a man in Placer County got 15 years to life for murder after he sold a Roseville teen a deadly dose of fentanyl. In August, another fentanyl dealer in Riverside County also got 15 years in prison when a woman he sold the drug to died.
Fentanyl hurts more than just the user. When we come back, how it's impacting local families.
Presented by Healthy Rural California and Butte County Behavioral Health Prevention Unit.
Taking fentanyl is not just gambling with our own futures.
It has consequences for everyone in our lives.
I'm Ben Donnelly, and I spoke with a local pastor about what this drug does, not just to users, but to their families as well. How have opioids and drugs affected families that you have worked with or encountered with?
Ben, that's a good question. Opioids, especially with fentanyl and the epidemic that's going throughout our community, it has affected families in ways that the casual eye wouldn't recognize or see. It destroys them financially, emotionally, the trauma that's associated with it.
It's a problem sweeping the nation, and it's no exception here in our area. Can you share a story how drugs use have impacted a family that you've worked with?
He decided to take one hit off of that joint, and it changed his life and the lives of his family and his community forever. He stayed in a coma for several days, and ultimately he succumbed.
He's talking about Jaden Anderson, a local graduate who lost his life, also affecting Devin Hills.
He was a great athlete at Butte College. He was inducted into the Butte College Sports Hall of Fame just 2 years ago.
The list of local victims doesn't stop there.
I look at this young man here, Joshua is his name, and he leaves behind 2 beautiful children.
Pastor Kevin Thompson says he's felt the effects of the fentanyl crisis firsthand.
In the past 2 years, I lost 4 nephews to drug overdose, and they succumbed to the overdose. They passed away.
What are some warning signs that parents and teenagers are to be aware of to identify potential drug misuse?
When you see sudden changes in their daily routine, if You see changes in their dress, and they might even lose weight, or they might not conversate as they used to. These are all warning signs that something could be happening.
So in your experience, what are some effective ways for parents to approach the topic of drugs to their children?
It might be a good idea to initiate an age-appropriate discussion with your children. You might also want to, share some real life experiences. Just let them know that you love them unconditionally. No matter what happens, you're not going to give up on them.
If you're struggling with addiction, you don't have to go through it alone.
Just reach out to a friend, family member, or adult you trust.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Those students are working to spread the word before it's too late. Many are not so lucky. When we come back, one Butte County mom shares the story of how she lost her son to addiction.
Presented by Healthy Rural California and Butte County Behavioral Health Prevention Unit.
Most every parent's nightmare is to lose a child. One Butte County mom is hoping that by sharing her grief, she can help stop the deadly cycle of drug use in our community.
Quentin was his own person, a strong leader and a strong personality. People always followed him. Started when he was about 12 or 13 years old with marijuana initially. Got in with the wrong crowd and started to go down the wrong path in middle school. I can't exactly pinpoint the time when it escalated from just marijuana to pills. And he was convinced that he needed Xanax in order to function and that there wasn't a problem with it. I'll never forget, he came home and he had smoked pot and taken Xanax. To see your kid like that, that was the first time when I really saw him just having a hard time keeping his eyes open and having a hard time having conversation with me. And I just kind of got a handle on how serious it was. Quentin didn't see himself as an addict.
Typical day. Come on.
He didn't realize the implications of what he did. Almost all Xanax that you're buying off market or on the streets is laced with fentanyl.
The national opioid epidemic.
Fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin.
Counterfeits, laced with fentanyl instead of the real ingredient.
It looks the same as a regular pill. And see, that's the danger, because you don't know what you're getting.
And he called me up and said, "Mom, I can't do life like this anymore. I just want to be healthy and I just want to be in Florida with you and Piper." He gave his notice at work, started to prepare to come down to Florida. So his family gave him a going away party 4th of July weekend, and they were all saying their goodbyes. And I spoke to him that day, and he was debating whether or not to go out with a friend after, and I encouraged him to just stay. So the next day, Sunday, got up, went to church, had a regular day. Around 6 p.m. at night, his best friend back in Minnesota texted me and asked if I had talked to Quentin that day. And I said, no, I just spoke to him yesterday. He was at his grandma's, and I said, why? What's going on? He said that he saw a social media post. Somebody had posted something that didn't make sense to him, and he hadn't heard from Quentin, so he just was trying to find him. I asked him what was the social media post, and he sent me a picture. It was Quentin's picture, and somebody had posted, "Gone too soon, rest in peace." And I remember, the air just leaving my lungs. In that moment, I couldn't breathe. The other people in the apartment came and they tried to resuscitate him, and they called an ambulance, and by the time they got there, he was already gone. So, yeah, that was July 8th. That was Sunday, July 8th. He had been gone the whole day. I didn't know about it until later that night. I pray that you would learn from his one mistake and let it be the thing that shapes your decision and shapes your lives. Whenever someone wants to hand you a pill, understand that that could be the last thing that you do, you know? If you're walking through a season of adversity right now, if you're facing a challenge that seems overwhelming, or if you've lost someone that you love, or if someone is in the middle of the throes of addiction and it feels like you don't know up from down, I'm here to tell you that there is hope. There is a place of freedom and peace and joy, that you don't have to surrender those things to whatever is going on in your life. And there's a community of people that are going after that as well. And so I want to invite you to join us at Q's Army and become a part of his army and go on to do amazing things in your life. Anything that people do good in Q's Army here is credited to him up in heaven. And so I'm on a mission to make the impact as far-reaching as possible. So I want to invite you to join us to make a difference in his name and on his behalf.
To find resources to help with fentanyl addiction, go to actionnewsnow.com and click on the News tab and then News Links. You can also watch this special under the Features tab on our website.
Thanks for watching from Action News Now and presenting sponsors Healthy Rural California and Butte County Behavioral Health Prevention Unit.